I spent 20 years believing my dad was a monster, and I thought I was protecting myself by staying away from him. Then, one day at 28 years old, something cracked, and I realized I had been lied to. I had been manipulated by my other parent to reject my dad. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly what it felt like to wake up from the delusion that I had been forced to live under, from the psychological child abuse I was experiencing, often known as parental alienation. And I'm going to detail for you why it is one of the most disorienting, grief-filled, yet liberating experiences that a person can go through. If you're a parent wondering, will my child ever wake up? This video is for you. And if you're a grown child starting to question your experience, you're not crazy and you're not alone. Hit like, subscribe, and smash that bell if you want to learn the truth about parental alienation. Let's get into it. I didn't know that what I was experiencing was manipulation and child psychological abuse. It just felt like the truth to me. I thought I was doing the right thing. I get asked all the time, what made you realize the truth? How did you wake up? And when it really comes down to it, cracks had been forming for years. For years, I had been questioning different things in my life, different things I had been told, and none of it related to my dad. A lot of it related to different things that had happened to me over the years. I would see my friends with their parents, and I would constantly be wondering, like, why is my relationship with my mom not like that? I wish my mom and I had a better relationship like my friends seem to have with their moms. And whenever someone asked me, why don't you have a relationship with your dad? I would respond angrily, but inside I'd feel shame. Inside I'd feel confused, and inside I couldn't explain why I was feeling these things. The final straw for me involved confronting my mom about something she did when I was 14, and she denied it all. Her response made me question, what else has she lied to me about over the years? And so I thought of my dad. And for the first time, I considered, what if I had gotten this wrong? What if she had exaggerated the truth about him? What if he's not quite as bad as she made me believe? That led to me doing a Google search, and I found a video by a former alienated child named Ryan Thomas. I watched that video. He talked about what it's like to go through this abuse as a child. It was unnerving. It was like hearing my own life through someone else's mouth. And I began to wonder, what if my mom wasn't telling the truth? And in my mindset after watching his video really shifted from, what if my mom wasn't telling me the truth, to, oh my God, this is my life. My mom has completely manipulated me, and I don't know what's up and what's down. Once I watched that video, it's like all the different disjointed pieces of my life clicked at once. I couldn't deny it. This had happened to me. This is what has been happening for 20 years. I've gotten things completely wrong. So while waking up from the delusion for me wasn't necessarily an instant switch that came out of nowhere, there were years leading up to that point. And my relationship with my alienating parent had already deteriorated. It really never was a good relationship. I was the kid that was fighting back all the time. We had a contentious relationship. So I had tried to go no contact with her before. I had tried to work on that relationship. Oh my gosh, so many times I had tried for her to see, from my point of view, how her behaviors were hurting me, to no avail. Why did I never reach out to my dad, you might be wondering? Well, because I was made to believe he was so bad, he was worse than her. So I was going to self-orphan myself before even reaching out to him. So it really did take that video, me learning I'd been manipulated, for me to put the pieces together. And once I put the pieces together, I was shaking. If you've done any research into trauma, you probably know that trauma is stored in your body. When I had the realization, I had a physical response. I was shaking. I was having a panic attack. I was sobbing. I was feeling more rage than I knew was humanly possible. So much rage. I felt grief instantly because I had lost 20 years of a relationship that I could not get back. I felt every emotion I think that a human can experience. I felt sadness, anger, shame, guilt, confusion. I even felt hope and happiness because, oh my God, does this mean that my dad might really love me? Does this mean that my dad might really be healthy and I could have a relationship with him? So there was that other side too of hope. If you're going through this as a child and you're having the realization that you might have been manipulated to reject a parent, it feels like the Truman Show, if you've seen that movie, where Truman realizes he's been living in a reality show and people have been watching his life the whole time and he's been living a lie. It's like waking up and realizing that your parents aren't your parents and they stole you at childhood. It's a huge realization. What I'm trying to explain is it turns your life upside down. It is so disorienting. Personally, when I figured out everything, I had been so captive to the beliefs about my dad for so long that even questioning them was difficult. Because if I had been manipulated, if I had believed things that were untrue, then I had lost 20 years with my dad. Then I had hurt him unnecessarily. Then my mom has hurt me on purpose to some extent for 20 years. So it required me to put my pride aside, put my ego completely aside, and be willing to accept that I had made a lot of decisions from a place where my mind was completely controlled. That was hard to do. To give you an example of just how disorienting this whole realization process was, I like to tell people about the earthworm. So I was, and this is pretty funny actually to me now, I was eating a salad like the same day or the day after I learned about all of this. And this just shows where my head was at, because when I learned the truth, I didn't know, first of all, who the hell is my dad then? If he's not this monster, this narcissist, this abusive person I believed for so long, who is he? Who is my mom then? If she's not trying to protect me from my dad this whole time, why would she tell me these things? If these stories and allegations are not true, why would she make me believe them? Who is my mom then? So I didn't know who either of my parents were at the same time. Like, who am I? Who am I if I'm not this child of a bad parent and a good parent? Who am I? Who am I, and what is up, what is down? I don't trust myself at that point to know who to trust. I've been duped by my own parent. They've played this long con on me for 2 decades. How the hell am I supposed to know who to trust? I felt like I couldn't even see up from down. I didn't know what was real. I didn't know what was real, you guys. So I was eating this salad and I'm sitting down at the table, picking up the fork. Oh my God, Zach, I told my husband, there's an inchworm. There's an inchworm on my salad. There's an inchworm right here. I see a little tiny green inchworm. You know how they scoot forward, scoot forward, scoot forward? It was doing that on my plate. This little green inchworm. I said, come here, look at this inchworm. He comes over to my plate, to the table, to look at the inchworm on my lunch. Because how does inchworm get inside anyway? And the inchworm is gone. It's not there anymore. Zach, my husband, he laughs. He's like, Maddie, where's the inchworm? It's not there. Are you seeing things? And he didn't say that in any type of like gaslighting way. He was just joking around. But I in the next few minutes, and as I was eating my salad, I managed to convince myself that I had made up the inchworm, that I didn't see a inchworm, because that's how little trust I had in my own perception of reality. So by the time I was done eating my salad, I came to the conclusion that there was not an inchworm there. Oh my God, I have gone so crazy. I am so disoriented that I am now seeing insects where insects don't exist. I was so discombobulated. I stand up to go rinse off my plate at the sink, and right there on the counter, I see this little green inchworm again. I started jumping up and down and yelling, the inchworm, it's there. I knew it was there the whole time. Zach, look, it's the inchworm. The inchworm was there. The inchworm is there. The inchworm is there. Look at the inchworm. It's right there. It was there the whole time. I knew it was there. Oh my God, it was there. I started crying because it was proof to me that maybe I could cling on to some hope that I would be able to discern what my reality was. Maybe I do still have a little piece of me inside that can decipher what's real and what's not real. That inchworm gave me a tiny bit of hope that I would be able to, desperately climb my way out of this delusion, this horrible delusion. So waking up from parental alienation is not about just grieving the parent you lost. It's not about just reconnecting with the alienated parent. It's not just about sorrow. It's not just about fear. It's not just about shame. It's also about feeling like you don't know what's real in the world, like you don't have an anchor in this earth. And that's something I don't hear many people talk about. It's very disorienting. Now, after the phase where I felt super disoriented, which really did last a couple weeks, maybe months, I started to feel, first of all, I started to feel extreme rage that I had never felt before, rage that I have never felt since. And this rage was consuming. It was hard to even exist with this level of rage. And I know now that that rage was there because it was protecting me. It was reflecting bits of self-worth that I had been so hurt and so deceived by someone who, more than anyone on the earth, should have been protecting me, loving me, caring for me, who should have had my best interest at heart. Instead, they were the one who was destroying me. And that rage, it was totally scary. If you're experiencing that right now, I want you to know that it will not last forever. And you need to allow yourself to feel it. Whether you're just going to hit a pillow, scream into a pillow, whether you need to go run, whether you need to lift weight or scream in the car by yourself when no one's watching. Whatever you need to do, however long you need to do it, in a safe way to express that rage, let yourself do it. Because that anger will eat you alive inside. It will make you sick, that anger, if you don't express it. So that fury, that rage is so real, and I want you to know it won't last forever. The more that you express it, the sooner it will subside. And it will come in waves. It will come in waves. At first, the wave might be like this, and it feels like you're riding the most intense portion of the wave for days or weeks, and it will take a while to subside. As you allow yourself to release those emotions of rage, especially physical activity really helps with this because you're getting it out of your body. Whether you need to start a kickboxing class or just start running, whatever physical activity you can physically do will get it out of your body sooner. And then those waves of emotion, that anger, will come down faster. And then they will be shorter waves. The emotion won't be as intense. I'm 3 years out now, and I do not feel that rage. Sometimes I have moments of anger every so often, but it's really not often that I feel anger anymore. And when I was so deep in that rage, I thought, my God, I was scared I was going to feel that way forever. So just a note of hope for people going through it. You will not feel that anger forever. If you try to suppress that anger, it will just last longer. Also, the rage, it came and went. Different things would trigger different emotions as I was figuring things out. I talked to different family members. I talked to my dad. I talked to a bunch of people who were there my whole life to get their opinion and the facts of the situation. I also confronted my mom. And as I figured out more and more truths that dismantled the lies, these emotions would come up again and again. I would have more grief. I would have more anger. I would have more shame. I would have more confusion. And these were necessary steps of the process to figure out the truth of my life and my reality. But at the same time, it was like excavating a dead body almost. There were so many disgusting and horrible parts of what had been done that I had to confront, but that made the betrayal that much worse. But I will say that once I reconnected with my dad and started figuring out the truth about different situations, about lies I've been made to believe, about what was going on behind the scenes from not just my dad, but a lot of family members, the grief really set in. I began to put myself in my dad's shoes, and I began to realize how much he had been hurting, how much loss he had experienced. I did have some anger. at family members who enabled the situation. Sadness was a huge emotion that I also experienced when I started to realize how deeply I had been used and betrayed. The grief began, and there were times when I would be crying off and on all day. Like whenever my kids were not there, I would be crying. There were times when I didn't know how to express this sadness. I didn't know the first thing about why a parent would do this. And doing research on the topic helped to an extent, but for a while I was too vulnerable. Everything was too fresh for me to do any research on the topic. It was too triggering. It was too fresh. What really helped me navigate the grief would be therapy. I had a great therapist who actually played a part in helping me figure all of this out, and she played a big part in my recovery, which is a lifelong process, as well as journaling. I journaled and I would let myself cry. I relied on my husband for emotional support, my therapist for emotional support, my dad and my stepmom for emotional support, and my best friend. And that's it. I kept my circle small because a lot of people in my life, even other family members, just could not understand what I had been through. For instance, I'm one of 5 siblings, and I was the only kid who was alienated. So none of my 4 younger brothers have the slightest clue what I actually experienced. There was also the side of the joy and the hope that my dad does love me, that I can have a good relationship with him. And maybe I'll make that part 2 of the video because my battery's about to die. But that was how it was to wake up to the truth. It was a whole new layer of trauma and grief that I would need to wade through. However, totally worth it. Necessary in order to live your most wonderful life. There is not any part of me that would take back learning that I've been living in a delusional reality. Kids deserve to live in the truth. Kids deserve to live in reality. Simple as that. That's a little bit more about my story, what it was like for me to realize the truth. If you're a targeted parent, leave a comment down below so people know they're not alone. And if you're a grown child awakening to the truth about what you've been through, share your story below or just simply type, "I'm waking up." I read most of the comments, and I want you to know that you're not alone in this. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. Bye. See you next time.